All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Greater Entrepreneur Success Group. I know it's been a while, but we're so happy to have everyone come back. So we're kicking it strong back every Monday at 9 a.m. Good to see everybody. Look here, because we have a guest speaker on today, I would just ask if you could just tell us your name and who you are. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give everyone 15 seconds. Normally I give everyone 7 seconds. Arthur, you can go last. I'll introduce you. So no particular order, 15 seconds. I'm going to go with Peter.
Well, good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Peter James, and I'm the Encouragement Officer for Affordable Senior Solutions. More on that later. Glad to be here. Back to see you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. Michelle.
Morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Alexander with HAM Financial, helping you plant your money tree.
Thank you. Stacy.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Stacy Porter with Porter Global Security. I'm the principal consultant and I do risk assessments. Thanks.
Perfect. Kim.
How about that? Good morning, everybody. Kim Hudson Gray. I don't currently have a business, so I am here in support of everyone else.
Well, she has businesses. She's the backbone. She's one of the backbones of the success group. So,
but I like what she said. She's here in support. I like that. I like that.
Exactly.
That's what we do. We support each other.
Exactly. Rose.
Hey, my name is Rose Lovelace with PathMedic, where we bring healthcare to your comfort level. We are a home health and medical equipment company.
Wonderful. Kathy, our resident VP banker. Well, Kathy. You probably don't know that we can see her. Okay, I'm gonna skip Kathy. Are you there, Kathy? Okay, we'll come back. We'll go to Eartha.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to turn my camera back off shortly. I am in Dallas, Fort Worth, getting to the airport, but I couldn't miss my meeting.
All right,
I'm Eartha with Postkeeper CPR, and we provide CPR and first aid training for people of all skills levels out in Conyers, Georgia. And I'm Eartha with Postkeeper CPR.
Perfect. Thank you, Eartha. Be careful out there in Big D. All right, we got Kathy. Can Kathy hear us now? Okay, you're muted, Kathy. We can't get your sound.
Yeah, she caught what you had, Sinclair.
Okay, for some reason we can't hear her. Might be a
Yeah.
mic problem.
Yep.
Well, Kathy is with Bank OZK. We'll come back to you, Kathy. So don't worry, we'll come back to you. So look, everyone, I'm happy and excited to introduce Mr. Arthur Jones II. I met Arthur about a month ago. We happened to be on a business discussion and talks about telling his story, telling your story. As many of you saw in the bio, he is with CBS Morning. He is one of the associate producers. So when you see all the great work on CBS Mornings, look at what Arthur has done and what he continues to do. So Arthur, go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about what you do, and then you got 20 minutes, sir.
20 minutes, all right.
20 minutes, if anybody want to ask questions, you can either go for it or just put it in the chat.
I will try to maximize the time that I have and maximize, we're gonna get into that word in a little bit. The definition is to make the best use of. So I'm gonna make the best use of this 19 minutes and 42 seconds or whatever I got left. So my name is Arthur Jones II. I've told a few of you already, I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm 26 years old. And I work for CBS News in Washington, D.C. So CBS Mornings is the national morning show for CBS. Gail King is the host. Nate Burleson is now one of our new hosts, and Tony DeCopel every morning from 7 to 9 a.m. We do most of the Washington-based stories, which is politics, the headlines you hear every morning, which you may or may not like, but that's what we do. We cover it all. And I am also a podcaster. So in my bio, I like to call myself a multi-skilled journalist or producer, someone who works in broadcast media, because my life's purpose, my mission is really to craft stories. So today, hopefully I can help you craft your stories for your business by maximizing those stories. My podcast is called Max Out Time with AJ2. AJ2 is me, Arthur Jones II. That's a Roman numeral 2. So maximizing is what I do. I take these stories, whether I put them on TV, special guests on my podcast, and try to maximize those stories. I just did a month-long series for Black Business Month, which is August, with 6 CEOs, entrepreneurs, and innovators of their own businesses, right? So we talked about, y'all have businesses, financial businesses, risk assessment, bankers, CPR. I had a medical professional and CEO who started a startup called Bleed Freeze, which is the first and only Band-Aid for nosebleeds, okay? So Dr. Elizabeth Claiborne at the University of Maryland University Center, she actually is a CEO as well as an emergency physician. I had her on my show a few weeks ago. I also had a young woman named Sierra Imani May, who started the first plant-based braiding company in the entire US. Okay, so I'm happy that I'm here talking to you about your businesses, because this was what I was doing a month ago with my sponsor and partners, Bold Exchange. Bold Exchange is the most convenient way to buy Black online. It's an online marketplace where you can buy essentials, home goods through there, almost like an Amazon for us Black folks, okay? And so they're sponsoring my podcast. We work together to interview these businesses. So I would first and foremost do a little plug there to go and watch that series. I'm gonna put the link right here in the chat to my podcast so you can look at these success stories of these young Black and up and coming entrepreneurs, and maybe that'll help you maximize your businesses as well. Then I'm gonna turn it over to a PowerPoint proposal about how we're gonna tell our stories and why it's so important. So let me get that link for you real quick. Any questions so far? Put that in there right here. All right. So
Hey, Arthur, if you get a chance, while you're putting a PowerPoint, I know you have produced some shows. Are there some shows that many people would know? Because I'm taping this and I'm sending this out on YouTube. Are there some shows that people would know some of the work that you've done? I know you've done a lot with the podcast. Are there some other television shows or documentaries or anything that people may know?
Dr. Gray, so I've been working at CBS for 4 years. I've been working for CBS Mornings, which is now the title. It used to be CBS This Morning, for 3. I want to say I've produced over 250 stories, maybe more at this point in time, because every night I go into work. I'm a night owl. I'll go into work at 9 p.m. and I get off at 7 a.m. when the show starts. So I'm doing a different story 5 days a week. So it'd be really difficult to pin them down. I also do feature stories, which are not day of air, where we take it a little bit deeper, if you will, and go and maximize those stories for a little bit longer. When I say feature, I mean 3 or 4 minutes. Most of my stories each morning are about 1 minute, 30, 90 seconds. So here's one. We all know who the first Black vice president is, Ms. Kamala Harris, right? She is an AKA, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I can't mess that up because my mom is an AKA as well. So she's Alpha Chapter, and in January, before the inauguration, it was the anniversary of the AKAs, right? And so I did a story with the sorority, actually, and her line sisters about what this moment means to them and what it means to the sorority and what it means to HBCUs. So that story is online, and I did produce that story. So, some of you all might be familiar with that. They've done a lot of stories about her sorority. There are some on CNN and Good Morning America, but for CBS Mornings, we did that as well. We did like a 3-minute story with 3 of her line sisters talking about, her trajectory and how they helped get her into office and how they helped support her over these last 30 years. So that's one of the stories that I did. Hopefully you all can see the screen that I have up. So that's a picture of me, Max Out Time. That's my podcast. I work with CBS News, like I just said. And I'm going to tell you about telling your story so that you can get noticed. We talk about TV, we talk about podcasts. Those are 2 great ways to get noticed. to get eyeballs on you and your business. And I've already done a business series just last month. So you don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to have a certain, you don't have to be a comedian or anything like this. You know, there are business podcasts out there. There are business shows out there, business networks, business magazines. There are Black business networks and magazines and newspapers. You know, I've written for the Afro, which is in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and they do Black stories, okay? We got the Washington Informer here. So there's Black newspapers, there's Black media that you all need to do. You all know Roland Martin, how he started the Black Star Network, right? And he also does his internet radio show. So if you guys want to do Black media, it's out there as well. And we've got the national media that I work with, okay? So I'm just going to the next slide here. So Ben Franklin said 2 things in life are certain: death and taxes. I want to just add life to that. You know, we're gonna be born, we're gonna live. That's the 3rd thing. 4th thing, in my opinion, certain. Can't fact check me on it. You can't research this. If you ask 100 people, they're all gonna say yes. People love stories. Point blank. Point blank. I got Netflix up right now. I know some of y'all watched something, read something, listened to something. You loved it because it was a story. You get on the phone, you call your friends. Girl, you ain't gonna believe what happened this day. You're about to tell them a story. People love stories, okay? 4 things that are certain in this world. Always remember that, especially with your business, okay? Britt Waters, she's the traffic reporter for Good Morning Washington, which is a local ABC7 morning show. She also was the in-game host for the Washington Wizards and Washington Mystics professional basketball teams. I had her on my podcast last summer, and something that she said stood out to me and has stuck with me this entire year. She told me that I was taking up the time to share people's stories, and it was the biggest impact of them all. And it didn't really resonate until a few months later, where I would get people who would say something along those same lines after I would interview them on my show. And I didn't realize the impact of it until I started hearing that more and more and more. So when I say I was born to tell stories, and this mission of mine is to tell stories, the feedback that I get in some of these episodes really does resonate with me. So you all need to be sharing your stories because it's the biggest impact of all. Sharing your stories, connecting, and networking are the biggest impacts that you can make, right? So we need to tell a tight story that's going to get you noticed. Why? Because people love stories. If they love stories, they will buy your product. They will devote money and time to your businesses. They love stories. So Dr. Gray, he jumped on the call. It was a month ago on Success in the Evenings with Coach Terry. And it's not what you know, it's who you know. No, Dr. Gray said, well, it's who knows you. I said, well, Dr. Gray, it's not who knows you. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. Actually, it's who knows your story. It's who wants to know your story. Because if they want to know your story, and if they know your story, and they've been told about your story, then they're going to click subscribe. They're going to buy your products. They're going to want to go in and go in depth with it. So stop using these phrases, not what you know, it's not who you know, too cliche. Who wants to know your story? What is it? Okay, if I like it, then we can talk. We can do business now. Okay? So who knows your story? There are a few ways that people are going to know your story. I've already talked about 2 of them, TV and podcasting, right? But people can also read your story. We had an author and an editor on that same call who edits books, right? So you got books, you got magazines, you got newspapers, you got journalistic articles. How are we going to get your business, your CPR business down in DFW onto the next Black Star magazine, you know, so people can read it? Views. Views come in many different ways. I hope you all have social media. I hope you all have social media. I hope you all are using social media. Views, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I know y'all got Facebook. I know 80% of y'all got Facebook. I know it. It's true. Okay, you can fact check me on that, but I know y'all got it. All right, TikTok. Y'all heard of that? Your kids probably had that. Y'all need that. Okay, be creative. Talk to the kids. They doing it. They do it better than me. Okay, that's how you view social media, YouTube, watching on the screen. If you get a TV hit, great, perfect. All right, listening, podcasts, radio. These are the outlets that you need to be on. And then sharing. The first thing I said was, you get on the phone, you tell stories. It's word of mouth too. Just sharing. It's just organic. Going to those networking events, finding the audience, telling the audience, just sharing, just promoting yourself, word of mouth. If somebody read your story somewhere and then picked up the phone and said, hey, I heard about this great CPR business in Texas, you got to look up their website. That's how your story gets shared. My friend in Fort Washington, Maryland, has a finance business. That's sharing the story. So there's so many ways to do it, but I would definitely tell you to circle or star those views. You want to create stuff on social media. It's organic, it's free, and all you got to do is make the posts and put them out there. So your why. We talk about knowing your why. That's not what this slide is about. No, we're not getting that yet. It's not about your mission. It's not about your why, like why you did this, why you did that, the origin. No, this slide is about why. Why would anybody want to consume your story? Why, when they hear it walking past the kitchen, when it's on TV, are they going to stop and turn around? Why? Because if somebody doesn't want to consume your product or your business, if they don't want to listen to it or read it, that story, they're not going to hit purchase. If you're selling product, they're not going to hit purchase. Okay? They're not going to hit purchase. You guys are buying, you guys are selling products, you are business people. Okay? Your story's got to be tight because when they hear it, when they see it, when they read it, they got to go to the website and click boom, purchase, subscribe, follow, have the meeting with you. Okay? Which will lead to, more success down the road. So not knowing your why, but why am I reading this? Why am I listening to this? Why am I stopping? So your story, I think it's got 3 elements. I think everyone's story has 3 elements. Every compelling story has 3 elements. Cod, anybody like fish in here? Anybody eat fish? Okay. Right? You can be grilled, sauteed, you can be fried. It don't matter. We just got seafood lovers in here. I love me some salmon. Cod. C-O-D. Your story has to have characters. It has to have characters. Whether it's you, whether it's your grandson who you gave CPR to start the business, right? Because he was drowning in a pool, so you started a CPR business. Your grandson's a great character. You jumping in that pool or the ocean, make it even better. You need characters. Okay. There's another C that I want to give you all. Conflict. Okay. So the second C would be conflict. Let's say with COD. I don't want to CCOD up there and confuse anybody. But that conflict gets you to the O. You got conflict, which is, in other words, an obstacle. It's an obstacle. So the second part of your story has to be that obstacle, that struggle. When Oprah was turned down from, she was in broadcast news for about 5 years, but didn't get the same type of looks, the same type of money because she was a full-figure Black woman and she wanted to do it her way. And boom, the Oprah show, 30 more years, Black billionaire. There was that obstacle. Michael Jordan was cut from his JV basketball team. Boom, now he's the greatest basketball player ever lived, another billionaire. If you don't have an obstacle like being cut from your JV team, go back and reread your story. Go talk to whoever knows your story just as well as you do, who's been in your life. Why did you start your business? What characters helped you start it? And where was that conflict and that obstacle that you had to overcome? Those roadblocks, those bumps in the road, okay? Because once you have characters, once you have those obstacles that the characters overcame, which would be you and whoever else in your life who inspired you, then you showed that grit and that dedication or that determination. And that's why you are where you are now.
Hey, Arthur,
The more, yes.
I'm sorry. I heard your story. Real quick, could you tell your story of how you got to CBS? I know you gave a very powerful story when we were on that panel of how, because here you are, you're 26 years old, associate producer for CBS Mornings. You know, not to, you know, Black man, no one, that's not something we hear every day.
Sure.
So can you tell us real quick your story that way?
Well, I have a few different unique stories while growing up. I'm an athlete, a former Division I football player, and I was a walk-on at Indiana University. So let's start my freshman year in college. I had to try out for this Big Ten program with dozens of other guys and was fortunate enough to be one of 5 to make the team, played 4 years for the team, and eventually was given accolades for that. But after my freshman year, after I made the team and got over that obstacle, that first hump, making the team, just getting there, I was cut. I was cut from the team. So they take 105 players and they put them on the roster, and I was number 108. And they told me, you know, we love everything about you. You're a hardworking kid, but we just don't have the space right now. And usually a person will quit and not thinking that they're going to make it again or be on the team. And I stuck around. This is Bloomington, Indiana, 12 hours away from Washington, D.C., basically. And essentially dedicated myself to getting better as a football player while the team was practicing and getting ready for the season. And about 2 weeks into the season, I was called back up because someone had gotten injured who was in front of me. And, you know, I never let go of that opportunity. Basically, the rest of that year, I was awarded our Scout Team Player of the Year, and also was moved up not only to the roster, but the active roster, and started in a few games on special teams, and was named in academic all Big Ten selection. And I was named that the next 3 years in college through my senior year, and played 4 years at the Division I level. Throughout that time, I was majoring in broadcast journalism. So balancing school with sports at that time, and did a number of different stories, whether it be radio, podcasting, TV. And I got out of school, was looking for jobs, and was turned down numerous times from other networks, NBC, CNBC, and also once from CBS, where I actually ended up going. So I was turned down a number of times, a number of obstacles, but that dedication is kind of what kept driving me. I got an email from my boss and was like, hey, Arthur, we don't know if we're gonna, you know, go forward with you in this process. And a few weeks later, after dedicating myself to study up and continue to become a better journalist, they called me back and they said, hey, we're gonna give you an opportunity. And 4 years later, I've been working there every single day since, on essentially every single CBS News program from the ages of 22 to 26, and basically one of the youngest Black male producers in network television. So just that, I tried to, you know, dumb it down a little bit there, but as you can see, I'm the character. I've got other characters, other coaches at Indiana, and some of the hiring managers at CBS. The obstacles, I was cut multiple times or didn't make the team. And I was told multiple times at different networks, the NBCs, the CNBCs, that you're not going to be able to work here. I was even told by my current employer, you're not going to be able to work here. And 4 years later, there's no one else that looks like me doing what I do, period. Okay, and it's just because of that dedication. It's just because of that drive. That's all that is. That's all that is. And you know what? That's free. No money involved. No nothing. I just sacrificed and just made it happen. Okay. So how are you going to take the elements of your story and get them out there? Like I said before, right? With COD, how are you going to take those characters, those obstacles, and all of the elements of the story and show that dedication and drive? It's got to be on the internet, because that's where everybody's doing it now. It's got to be. I'm gonna ask you at the end, do y'all have websites? I'm gonna ask you at the end. I hope all y'all have websites. Make sure you have a business tagline. Right, when they go on the website, the CPR lifesaver, okay? I told you about Bold Exchange. It's one of the sponsors of my podcast. It's the most convenient way to buy black online. Every time somebody hears that, almost immediately they start looking it up because it's catchy and it's true. It's the most convenient way. It'll come to you in less than 72 hours, whatever you buy on there. Okay, that's an effective way to tell your story. You got to have an about page or mission or a story. A lot of people have said, a lot of people's websites say our story. You know why? Because people love stories. Period. When you see the word story, your eyes light up. Disney Plus, Netflix, people watch stories all the time. Marketing, that's all stories, okay? Your digital footprint is your online presence. If I Google that CPR, I keep picking on CPR, but I like that, so I keep picking on. If I Google your CPR business, your website better come up. You're gonna have 3 hits: newspaper, TV, the local whoever, a podcast, the direct name and link to your website. Some of that's got to come up. I Google myself like every other week to make sure some of that comes up. Okay. The website, your social media platforms will probably be pushed to the forefront. Your website, your social media platforms, and if you got any press on you, it better be in there. The bigger the press, the more hits it has, the higher it's going to be on that Google page anyway. So it should be there. It should be about your business. You got to showcase that online presence with a digital footprint. Side note, I use Linktree. I put my Linktree in there because basically all it is an online resume where when you click on it, it's just going to be click this link, click this link, click this link. And each link is going to go directly to an article or an episode or something. Excuse me. Digital footprint online. I got to be able to find the CPR and the banking companies that you all have. Now, do your research. Do your research. I'm pretty sure you can. There's probably Black business online website that you can put your businesses on, and the websites on there. So those 2 things. It's all online. Then social media. I only need to go back to the last slide where I told you social media, social media, social media. You got to use it. That's online as well. People are going to find you in those 3 different ways. The easiest way to tell your story is through your Facebook and your social media. You're on your phone all day. You're on the website. You're on the laptop all day. You're using the platform, but are you using it effectively? That's what's going to set you apart. Effectively, all that means is consistency. Effectively, all it means is consistency. Okay? Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I told you I was an athlete. I just kept practicing. I just kept practicing. I just kept practicing. All right? So practice posting. Okay? Characters, obstacles, dedication. That is how you tell your story. Those are the elements of your story. And if I can find the 3 elements of that story in your story consistently online, whether it's Google, social media, or on your website, on the about page or the story of the page, I guarantee you, consistently, you keep doing it, you dedicate yourself to it, your business will become found. And if they can find your business, they like your story, people want to know your story, like I said before, then they will purchase your products. I mean, that's how you get to those steps. But they got to know your story. It's not what you know. I don't care if it's the best product in the world. It's not who you know either. It's not even who knows you. It's who wants to know that story. Who's going to take the time to go to the website, click on the Our Story or the About page, and then go click purchase. Maximize your story to get noticed. That's all I have. I don't know if that was 19 minutes or 42 seconds worth or 29 minutes or 42 seconds worth. I hope somebody kept me on time.
I'm gonna tell you that was perfect. That was perfect. I want to thank you, Brother Arthur, for that. Right now, I want to kind of open this up for anybody have any questions, anything that they have. And you
Yeah,
can,
I'll jump
if you
in.
can, hold on a second, if you can take it off, share screen, Arthur, that way we can kind of see everybody. There we go. Right. Where's Stacy?
No question, just something I wanted to throw out there. When I retired from the federal government, 20 plus years with that, and started my consulting business, I thought, okay, I have it. I did everything in the Fed, so I'm ready to go and jump out there. I'm glad I didn't right away. Now, I'm not going to turn down the money if someone came my way, but I'm glad I didn't because I wanted to focus so much on my marketing piece, as you talked about, my website. How do I market myself? Because I wanted to make sure I had everything lined up. So I had some great people in my background or in my corner assisting me with that. Now that I have everything to where I think it should be, I'm ready to get out there. And that's one of the things I tell people all the time. It's great if you can just jump out there right away, but make sure that marketing piece is on point.
Stacey, let me add something to that. You did the right thing. Don't just jump out there. You did the right thing. I give talks like this to businesses, youth, mostly a lot of kids as well. If you're starting a podcast or a series or something like that, or a business in this case, make it as strong as possible before you let anybody know. Because if you're in the stages of, I'm trying to figure it out, and you got a whole website up there, they're going to write you off from the beginning. So get those months of, talks with investors, get those months of like making the website and the development of the website as strong as it can be, and make that story, those three elements of that story, as strong and as compelling as it can be. Look, Stacey, if someone from Disney or Netflix wanted to do a series on your business, would they click on it, look at the story, and contact you? You don't got to answer that question. But if your story is that compelling and Disney and Netflix want to do a story or a whole series on this business or include you in something, okay, then you've done something so far. Then your business is rocking so far. Your marketing is good. Can't hear you.
Yeah, I'd like to commend you on a very cogent presentation. You hit the points, and I think I'm a storyteller, but you sharpened my pencil just now with some ideas, and I'm going to be going back to my website, my about page, and looking at it today to kind of recraft it along lines that would conform to what you just said. Thanks again. You did a good job. Great job.
Thank you, Peter. When you go back to your about page or your website, you know how most people say, Peter James started a business, did this, 19, whatever, and they've got all their little highlights or whatever. Scratch that. Keep all of that there, but erase it and tell the story. You include the facts in the story, but don't 1960, we did this, and then we did that. No, that's not how you tell the story. How you get on the phone and tell the story about your business, right? And then how you pick up the phone again and be like, I can't wait to tell you this story. Write it like that.
I will.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else want to chime in real quick for question? This is your time.
So are you active on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, Arthur Jones II.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Anyone
I
else?
already checked.
Say it again.
I said, he's out there, I already checked.
Go ahead. I tell you, fact check me.
But I did want to say that along with everyone else, it was really good to hear that, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, micropreneur, whatever you want to call it, you're not always sure you're on the right path or you're doing the right things. And a lot of times I'm doing something and I'm like, okay, is this working? And then something will come up like this meeting. I'm hearing what you're saying and I realize I am doing a lot of the right things. So I appreciate hearing that, because it makes a lot of sense and it makes you feel motivated. Like you said, have that dedication to keep moving. So thank you.
Yeah, I know. I figure most people know, the basic points. Oh, I know everybody's telling you to post on social media. I know everybody's saying you need to get this social media and be more active on social media. I know that. But I want to stress to you, that's how they find your story. Maybe people don't give it to you in that capacity, because that's how, in my line of work, some of the feature stories or ideas that I've had or that have come to me are usually people who just message me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I've got this for you. Or a friend of a friend will text and say, hey, I've got this for you. It's usually word of mouth, because now my job every day, I'm given an assignment. But the additional work that I do as far as my stories and the features that take a little bit longer to plan is almost always someone who pitched to me, a lot of times through LinkedIn or email or whatever the case may be. And the first thing I ask them, how'd you find me? Mm-hmm. Not on some creepy, like, how did you find me? But why did you think of me? How did you find my story? And they usually say, I read this or I watched this on CBS, usually.
So I have a question.
DFW, you're DFW, right?
Coming back to the ATL.
I'm almost at the airport, but my business is actually in Atlanta. So
Okay.
Postkeeper CPR is in Atlanta. What would be the best way for me to do, like, say for instance, October is Breast Health Month, for me to get featured on one of those shows? Because I am a registered nurse and I do provide some of that education, while CPR is my life to help save lives. So how do I get my story to those people that should want to know?
Let me ask you a few questions. What are you currently doing? How do people currently find your story? Give me a little bit more detail on the business.
Well, currently, I mostly, the majority of my customers, my clients, are those in the medical field, are looking to get into the medical field. So they need to have CPR and advanced life support classes to maintain their jobs status, or to get into medical or nursing school. And occasionally I will do lectures for, just getting my business out there for people, whether it's heart health or breast cancer awareness. Mostly heart health is where I'm focused.
What I would do if I were you is two things. I spoke about this earlier. If you look at this link that I just posted, it's a podcast interview between my sponsor, one of the hosts, CEOs of my sponsor, Bold Exchange, and Dr. Elizabeth Claiborne, who started the startup company Bleed Freeze, which is the Band-Aid for nosebleeds. Because in the ER, she saw so many people walk in with nosebleeds and couldn't figure out how nobody had stopped that yet. Okay, she talks a lot about the funding and the capital that she gets and all the TV hits that she gets and kind of how she does what she does. So I think it's very similar to you and it'll resonate with you. That story might resonate with you. How I do it when I'm trying to structure something, back when I was a freelance writer and I didn't work with CBS, I would just go to those outlets. I would go to the medical magazine outlets. I would pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch until someone finds you, right? And if nobody answers, you have your network that already exists, right? You know people in that field, right? Do you know any journalists? Do you know any people who are family members of journalists and things like that? Okay, right. So, but you know people in that field, right? So they probably read Health Magazine, WebMD, those types of things. If you're trying to get on those websites or those cancer awareness type of websites or whatever, you got to go out and find them and pitch to them. And just talking about it even more, like I said, we'll share that story, right? We talk about networking and word of mouth. It'll get around, circulate, but it's already September 20th. Okay, so you ain't got much time. These are the types of things when I told Mr. Stacy, take that time. You should have been thinking about this in June. If you hadn't gone anywhere yet, it'd be different if in June you had already been on a TV show and you wanted to get one in October. So hang up the phone, go to all the web, medical journals, CPR sites, and just start finding the contact information of these people, which is why you need to use LinkedIn, because that's probably the number one way you're going to find a lot of that information.
Yeah. And I have something just to add to that. I had an individual do an interview on me about the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. So he interviewed me on that piece. he reached out to me again and interviewed me on the 9/11 anniversary regarding my story. So I did 2 stories with this individual who writes for a magazine. And right after that second story, he interviewed me. He emailed me and said, if I'm ever interested in writing a story, let him know, because he'd be more than happy to have my information in the security magazine that he works for. So that's something that I'm thinking about doing now.
That reminds me, you're in Atlanta?
Yes.
Not your face, not you.
Oh.
Who was the woman I just spoke? She said that she was going to Dallas. But she
Oh, yes, I'm on my way back to Atlanta, but I'm based in Atlanta.
Have you heard of Voyage Atlanta? Is it Voyage? Am I saying it right?
No. So that's something else. Well, I'll be able to go back and look at this.
Hold on.
I think I still have some of the information, Eartha, because Voyage did a story on me. That helped. That brought quite a bit of clients. So yeah, Voyage. Is
Okay,
really
great.
Yeah, Voyage Atlanta. Yeah, Voyage Atlanta, ATL City God, local inspiring stories, ATL's most inspiring stories. Look at this website right here. You don't got to be famous to go on there.
Gotcha.
Trust me, they want to promote those inspiring up and coming stories. Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, look, everybody, I don't want to cut off anybody. I want to thank Arthur. What I want to do is let a few of those who could not get on, introduce yourself. Let's go 10 seconds, just your name and your business. I'm going to go with, who do I see here? I'm gonna go with Kathy. Kathy, are you able to get on now? Can't hear you, Kathy. Okay. Still can't hear you. Okay, Kathy, type it in the chat, Kathy. I'm sure people will see you in the chat if you type it in. Okay, I'm gonna go with Tracy.
Hey, good morning. Sorry about that. I logged in and then all of a sudden walk-ins and phone calls is a good thing to have. But I'm Tracy Wells with Farmers Insurance in Grayson. Specialize in personal lines and commercial insurance. I'm really hitting hard on the commercial side now. I'm kind of getting away from the personal lines and going heavy in the commercial.
Wonderful, thank you. And we got Tawana Smith.
Good morning. I'm Tawanya Smith with
Employee Garage. What the fuck?
Tawanya Smith with Right Choice Motors located in Covington, and also Barad Products, which is an all-natural body care products.
Wonderful, thank you. Real quick before we go, Arthur, I think, I know I may be saying something, I hope I'm saying this right. You and Tracy have something both in common. Both of you, if I'm not mistaken, are what, Division I athletes? I think, Tracy, didn't you run for San Diego State?
Yes.
All right, Tracy, meet me in the track. Meet me in the track.
Those days are over, man. I'm 53. I can't move like that anymore. I lift now. I can't move. I can't run like that anymore.
Can we throw in basketball and bike riding?
Okay.
Former basketball.
You in Northeast, I know how to find too.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Atlanta now, but
okay.
Yeah, we played basketball. So
y'all, we got Georgia all up and through here. All right.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm so happy we had a great time. Look, everybody, please don't forget to follow up. Please do not forget to follow Arthur Jones II on LinkedIn. Follow up with one another. So Arthur, give us the last words for about a minute, and then I'm gonna wish everyone a very happy and safe day. Thank you once again for taking time out of your schedule. We're definitely gonna be talking soon. I'm gonna go ahead and email you, so we'll talk offline.
Okay, I got 9 people in here. Can one person give me their biggest takeaway? One person. One person.
All right, I'll go.
COD.
Oh, go ahead. You guys go ahead.
COD. Characters, obstacles, dedication.
Those are the elements of the story. Okay, so this is about talking about your story so that you can get noticed. Maximize your story. Maximize. Make the best of your story, your business's story, using the 3 elements of COD: characters, obstacles, and dedication. Telling a story with characters, you, your grandma, whoever is in that story of why you started your business, the obstacles you had to overcome, whether it's a Black woman trying to get venture capital funding, or whether it's the bumps in the roads along the way, nobody was buying the product. And the dedication and that drive, that driving force that kept you going to where you are today. Those are the three elements of this story. And the reason why I bring that up is because people love stories. That's how you're going to get noticed, by maximizing and making the best of that story.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good day. Please be safe out there. And remember to follow up, follow up, follow up. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you,
Thanks a lot.
sir.
Have a good one.
I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks a
sir.
lot.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rose.